Hidden rules for building a stronger, smarter mind. Your mind holds incomprehensible power. Within that 3-pound universe between your ears lies the capacity to construct empires of meaning, fountains of abundance, gardens of serenity, and depths of fulfillment. That same mind can also become a dungeon, a locked cell where fear echoes endlessly, where doubt festers, where regret consumes every waking moment. The tragic truth? Most humans never unlock their potential. Not because talent eludes them, not because circumstance denies them, but because they've never learned the sacred art of directing their own consciousness. They've surrendered to the world's constant noise, allowing external forces to puppet the thoughts. They sleepwalk through existence, forever reacting instead of authoring their own story. But here's what separates the exceptional from the ordinary. A stronger mind isn't bestowed by fortune. It's constructed deliberately, methodically, through timeless principles that have guided history's greatest thinkers, boldest leaders, and visionary pioneers. These principles operate invisibly, yet they're the invisible architects of every decision, every habit, every remarkable result. In this journey, we'll uncover 13 transformative rules, practical wisdom that will revolutionize how you think, sharpen your intelligence, and fortify your inner world. You'll learn to curate what enters your consciousness. You'll discover how to concentrate with laser intensity in a fractured world. You'll transform every obstacle into a catalyst for growth. If you're ready to reclaim your power and become the undisputed master of your most valuable asset, your mind, let's begin this transformation together. Chapter 1. Stop letting the world program you. From the moment consciousness arrives each morning, an invisible force wars for dominion over your thoughts. Consider the assault. Smartphone notifications demanding attention, news feeds saturated with fear and crisis, voices of friends and strangers flooding your reality, each one planting seeds in the fertile soil of your mind. Some seeds nourish, others corrupt. They are weeds that flourish rapidly, spreading their toxin of negativity, uncertainty, and mental fog. Here lies the hard truth that most never confront. If you don't deliberately architect what enters your mind, others absolutely will. The world possesses endless weapons to hijack your identity, colonize your thinking, and script your existence. Advertising executives whisper desires into your consciousness. Social media personalities redefine your aspirations. Even well-intentioned loved ones transmit their own anxieties and constraints onto you. Without conscious resistance, you awaken one day to discover you're performing a script you never wrote, living someone else's dream, wearing your face. But you possess a choice. Beginning today, you can become the sovereign guardian of your inner world. This doesn't demand isolation or rejection of the external world. It demands discernment. It demands vigilance. Just as you'd never allow someone to dump garbage into your home, refuse to let corrosive ideas colonize your mind. Examine your ecosystem honestly. What captures your daily attention? Who occupies your intimate circles? What images seduce you late at night when defenses lower? These seemingly trivial choices function as architects, sculpting your psychological landscape with tremendous force. Feed yourself on a constant diet of fear and negativity, and your nervous system responds with anxiety and paralysis. Immerse yourself in possibility, growth, and inspiration, and your mind begins ascending. Visualize your consciousness as a sophisticated computer. Every thought, every absorbed piece of information functions as code. Corrupted code crashes the system. Clean, purposeful code allows it to run with pristine elegance. You are the programmer if you claim that responsibility. This week, conduct an experiment. Intentionally curate your mental nutrition. Dramatically reduce consumption of negative news and passive digital scrolling. Instead, devour books that provoke your thinking. Absorb audio that awakens your spirit. Engage with humans who elevate rather than diminish you. Initially, discomfort will arise. You'll confront how much destructive noise has been humming beneath your consciousness. But as you create space for clarity and genuine growth, something remarkable unfolds. Your authentic voice emerges, not the world's programming, not society's impositions, but the deepest expression of who you actually are. The stronger mind awakens through this fundamental revolution. You control what enters, therefore, you control what flourishes. Chapter 2. Train your thoughts like a muscle. Your mind mirrors your body in the most profound ways. Neglect it, and it atrophies into weakness and sluggishness. Challenge it consistently, stretch it beyond comfort, apply intelligent resistance, and it transforms into something exponentially more powerful than you imagined possible. Your thoughts demand training. They require repetition. They require pressure. Picture someone stepping into a gymnasium for the first time. They cannot hoist the heaviest weights on day one. They begin modestly. Their own body weight, foundational form, awkward and uncomfortable movements, but through daily discipline, their strength compounds. Your consciousness operates through identical principles. Most individuals assume their thinking capacity is fixed, predetermined like height or eye color. They believe intelligence and mental agility are permanent traits awarded at birth. This assumption destroys potential. Mental fortitude is built through determined practice. Every time you deliberately challenge a thought pattern, every time you deliberately strengthen your reasoning, your mind expands in flexibility, creative capacity, and emotional resilience. Here's the paradox that most miss. We're unknowingly training our minds daily, but in precisely the wrong direction. Each moment spent dwelling in worry, you're reinforcing the neural pathways of anxiety. Every surrender to self-doubt, you're conditioning weakness. You're rehearsing failure like a musician practicing the wrong notes. You're injuring yourself while thinking you're improving. To reverse this dangerous trajectory requires intentional practice. Start modestly. When negative thoughts arise, pause their momentum. Interrogate them. Is this reality or my fear performing theater? At first, this feels unnatural, even exhausting. This is precisely the resistance that builds strength. Another transformative exercise: deliberately practice gratitude and solution finding. When something goes wrong, instead of spiraling into frustration, ask, what can I appreciate in this moment? What single action moves me forward? These tiny mental pivots rewire your brain's fundamental operating system from problem obsession to possibility seeking.
Progress doesn't demand marathon meditation sessions or endless journaling pages. It demands consistency in bite-sized portions. 10 minutes of focused reading, 5 minutes of evening reflection. The habit of noticing wandering thoughts and gently redirecting them toward the light. These small repetitions compound across weeks and months into extraordinary transformation. Patience is essential. Like developing physical strength, mental resilience emerges gradually. You'll encounter days of fatigue, moments of temptation to abandon the practice. That's normal. That's actually the evidence you're evolving. When you encounter resistance, celebrate it. That's the exact pressure you need to become stronger. Here's an underrated secret. The more you develop mental strength, the more your entire existence shifts. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable become manageable. Decisions arrive with clarity. Your emotions stabilize because a fortified mind creates a calm heart. Imagine two people facing an identical crisis. One panics, spirals downward, surrenders. They've never trained their mind to handle pressure. The other breathes deliberately, assesses clearly, acts decisively. They understand they've built this capacity through dedicated practice. Which person do you choose to become? Starting now, adopt the identity of a mental athlete. Dedicate yourself to strengthening your thoughts daily. Feed your consciousness with challenging, nourishing ideas. Interrupt negative patterns before they take root. Stay committed even when you can't yet see the transformation. The work happens in invisible moments, but weeks and months from now, you'll recognize the profound distance you've traveled. Your thinking will pierce through fog. Your resilience will feel unshakable. You'll know, deeply, that you forged this strength through deliberate repetition, one mental rep at a time. Your mind is your greatest muscle. Treat it with reverence, persistence, and intentional effort. When you do, no obstacle becomes insurmountable, and no dream remains unreachable.
Just as a body deteriorates on a diet of processed garbage and sugary emptiness, your consciousness becomes cluttered and feeble on a steady diet of gossip, drama, fear, and meaningless noise. The challenge is relentless. Mental junk food surrounds you everywhere. It's cunningly addictive. It's effortlessly accessible. Social media scrolling, sensational headlines, constant notifications, clickbait videos. These creations exist to ensnare your attention, not elevate you. They offer brief stimulation followed by extended emptiness and fragmentation. The more you consume, the more your ability to focus, think deeply, and decide wisely deteriorates. Consider this. Every time you unlock your phone or activate your screen, you're choosing what you feed your consciousness. Most people surrender this power by default. They allow the loudest voices to commandeer their attention. They scroll mindlessly, permitting random content to flood their awareness without questioning it. Then they wonder why they feel perpetually anxious, restless, uninspired. It's not a mystery. It's their mental diet. If you hunger for a sharper, more intelligent mind, you must become intentional about what you allow inward. Begin by recognizing the toxins. Mental junk food displays unmistakable characteristics. It's sensational. It's engineered to addict. It's repetitive, and most tellingly, it leaves you diminished afterward. Ask yourself honestly, does this feed my growth, or does it drain my spirit? If it depletes you, it's poison. This might be certain television programs, negative relationships that exhaust you, or the content you passively absorb at night. Eliminating toxins doesn't demand hermetic isolation. A healthy diet can include occasional indulgences. Your mental life can include light entertainment, but it must be balanced. The critical factor is consciousness and moderation. If 90% of what you absorb is mental candy, your mind suffers. If 90% is growth-oriented and nourishing, your mind flourishes. What constitutes mental nutrition? Anything that challenges, inspires, or teaches you something genuinely valuable. A magnificent book, a conversation that expands your worldview, a podcast that provokes deeper thinking, time in silence, reflecting on your own consciousness. These don't deliver instant gratification like junk food, but they construct deep strength progressively. Here's a transformative habit. Create a mental menu. Like planning nutritious meals, deliberately choose what you want to absorb daily. Identify which books, podcasts, or even social media provide genuine nourishment for your growth. Commit to them. Set restrictions on mindless scrolling. Unfollow or remove sources of negativity that tempt you backward. Initially, this will feel uncomfortable. Your brain might even crave the junk because it's accustomed to constant stimulation. This is normal. It's identical to detoxing from sugar. Cravings intensify before they fade. But as you replace toxins with genuine nourishment, something remarkable unfolds. Your focus sharpens. Creativity ignites. You access thoughts previously invisible to you. Solutions materialize from nowhere. And here's the most consequential part. When you stop poisoning your mind, you don't just improve yourself, you upgrade how you show up for everyone. You possess greater patience in conversations, more genuine insight when advising others, more clarity when making choices that affect not just you, but those you love. Your mind is your most precious possession. Guard it with the vigilance you'd give your home or body. Don't permit just anything to enter. Be protective, be intentional, because every piece of content, every word you absorb, every idea you entertain is sculpting your character, whether you're aware of it or not.
Beginning today, commit to purifying your mental diet. Excise the poison, replace it with thoughts, ideas, and connections that make you stronger and sharper. Over time, this single decision rewires not just how you think, but who you fundamentally become. And when your mind is truly nourished and clear, there exists no limit to what you can create. Chapter 5. Choose logic over emotion. Emotions possess tremendous force. They can elevate you to unimaginable heights or plunge you into darkness you never knew existed. They constitute what makes you human. And there's nothing inherently wrong with feeling profoundly. But here lies the dangerous truth. When emotion steers the ship, logic gets abandoned. And when logic disappears, so do clarity, wisdom, and the results you genuinely desire. Reflect on a moment when emotion made your choices. Perhaps you spoke something vicious in anger, words you couldn't retract. Perhaps you dove into something intoxicating only to regret it later. Perhaps fear paralyzed you precisely when you needed courage. Looking back with clarity, you recognized something essential. Your emotion was fleeting, but its consequences proved lasting. The sharpest, most intelligent minds aren't emotionless or cold. They feel deeply, but they've mastered a crucial distinction. Emotion has a voice, but no vote. Logic and reason occupy the head of the table, calmly evaluating facts, while emotion contributes input, but never makes final determinations. This skill grows increasingly vital because the world constantly manipulates your feelings. Advertisers weaponize desire. Social media manufactures outrage and inadequacy. Even loved ones can trigger your emotional buttons. Without deliberate mastery, you become a puppet, reacting instead of reasoning, following impulses instead of principles. Choosing logic over emotion doesn't mean suppressing what you feel. It means creating distance between feeling and action. Imagine a pause button in your consciousness. The moment you feel intensity rising, anger, fear, excitement, jealousy, you activate that button. You don't immediately respond. You don't immediately speak. You simply breathe and observe. This brief pause grants logic time to ascend. For example, you receive an upsetting message. Your impulse screams to fire back something cutting, but pause even briefly, perhaps 30 seconds, and you suddenly access clarity. Is this worth it? What outcome do I actually want? Will this matter in a week? Often that minimal space prevents hours or years of unnecessary.
Just as a body deteriorates on a diet of processed garbage and sugary emptiness, your consciousness becomes cluttered and feeble on a steady diet of gossip, drama, fear, and meaningless noise. The challenge is relentless. Mental junk food surrounds you everywhere. It's cunningly addictive. It's effortlessly accessible. Social media scrolling, sensational headlines, constant notifications, clickbait videos. These creations exist to ensnare your attention, not elevate you. They offer brief stimulation followed by extended emptiness and fragmentation. The more you consume, the more your ability to focus, think deeply, and decide wisely deteriorates. Consider this. Every time you unlock your phone or activate your screen, you're choosing what you feed your consciousness. Most people surrender this power by default. They allow the loudest voices to commandeer their attention. They scroll mindlessly, permitting random content to flood their awareness without questioning it. Then they wonder why they feel perpetually anxious, restless, uninspired. It's not a mystery. It's their mental diet. If you hunger for a sharper, more intelligent mind, you must become intentional about what you allow inward. Begin by recognizing the toxins. Mental junk food displays unmistakable characteristics. It's sensational, it's engineered to addict, it's repetitive, and most tellingly, it leaves you diminished afterward. Ask yourself honestly, does this feed my growth or does it drain my spirit? If it depletes you, it's poison. This might be certain television programs, negative relationships that exhaust you, or the content you passively absorb at night. Eliminating toxins doesn't demand hermetic isolation. A healthy diet can include occasional indulgences. Your mental life can include light entertainment, but it must be balanced. The critical factor is consciousness and moderation. If 90% of what you absorb is mental candy, your mind suffers. If 90% is growth-oriented and nourishing, your mind flourishes. What constitutes mental nutrition? Anything that challenges, inspires, or teaches you something genuinely valuable. A magnificent book, a conversation that expands your worldview, a podcast that provokes deeper thinking, time in silence, reflecting on your own consciousness. These don't deliver instant gratification like junk food, but they construct deep strength progressively. Here's a transformative habit. Create a mental menu. Like planning nutritious meals, deliberately choose what you want to absorb daily. Identify which books, podcasts, or even social media provide genuine nourishment for your growth. Commit to them. Set restrictions on mindless scrolling. Unfollow or remove sources of negativity that tempt you backward. Initially, this will feel uncomfortable. Your brain might even crave the junk because it's accustomed to constant stimulation. This is normal. It's identical to detoxing from sugar. Cravings intensify before they fade. But as you replace toxins with genuine nourishment, something remarkable unfolds. Your focus sharpens, creativity ignites, you access thoughts previously invisible to you, solutions materialize from nowhere. And here's the most consequential part. When you stop poisoning your mind, you don't just improve yourself, you upgrade how you show up for everyone. You possess greater patience in conversations, more genuine insight when advising others, more clarity when making choices that affect not just you, but those you love. Your mind is your most precious possession. Guard it with the vigilance you'd give your home or body. Don't permit just any.
You'll encounter moments when emotion feels overwhelming, when it's screaming at you to act immediately. That's precisely when you must reconnect with your bigger picture. Think about your deepest values, your most important aspirations, the future you're building. Logic becomes your anchor. It keeps you steady while emotion's tempest passes. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Initially, it may feel like internal warfare, emotion pulling one direction, logic another. But gradually, you'll develop extraordinary capacity to remain grounded even in intense situations. Others will notice. While they lose composure, you think clearly. While they react blindly, you speak wisely. Imagine being that person, someone not easily manipulated by headlines, by peer pressure, by your own mood fluctuations. Consider the energy you'd preserve, the mistakes you'd avoid, the opportunities you'd seize simply by pausing and thinking. That power arrives from choosing logic over emotion. Your feelings matter. They're signals, not commands. Listen to them, but don't obey them blindly. Pause. Reflect. Then let your rational mind lead. Because when emotion drives your choices, you gamble with your future. When logic guides you, you construct a life built on wisdom, clarity, and unshakable strength. Beginning now, choose to be the steady thinker in a reactive world. Allow others to be swept away by emotional waves. You will remain different. You'll stay anchored. And as you develop mastery in this skill, you'll discover something extraordinary. True freedom isn't controlling external circumstances. It's mastering what happens within your own consciousness. Chapter 6. Learn the art of deep focus. We inhabit the most fractured, attention-fragmented era in human history. Everywhere you turn, something battles for your consciousness. Notifications interrupt, advertisements seduce, social media sprawls infinitely, and even in solitude, chaos persists because it's in your pocket, on your screen, in your neural pathways. The truly frightening part? Most people are completely unconscious of what this perpetual fragmentation is stealing. It's gradually eroding your capacity to concentrate deeply. Focus represents one of humanity's most underestimated superpowers. It's the chasm separating trivial work that evaporates immediately from creations that endure. It's the difference between living reactively, chasing every shiny distraction, and living purposefully, advancing towards a vision you've consciously chosen. Without focus, you disperse your energy across 100 fractured attempts, none achieving genuine success. With focus, you concentrate that same energy on a few things that matter, and the results become extraordinary. But here's the honest truth. Deep focus doesn't arrive naturally in our modern reality. The contemporary environment is deliberately engineered to destroy your ability to concentrate. Every application, every platform, every notification is scientifically designed to hijack your brain's reward circuitry. That's why you must deliberately train focus the way you'd train physical strength, with intention, consistency, and progressive challenge. Step 1 requires courage. Eliminate distractions. This sounds straightforward, yet most people never actually do it. You cannot access deep focus while your phone vibrates, your email beckons, and 10 browser tabs demand your attention. Create a focus ritual. Silence your device. Close unnecessary applications. Clear your physical environment. Even small acts, deactivating notifications, working in clean silence, signal your brain, now we concentrate. Next, give your mind a precise target. You cannot focus on everything. Choose one specific task, one distinct problem, one particular goal. Write it down. When your consciousness knows exactly what it's pursuing, it locks into focus far more rapidly. Vague to-do lists scatter your attention. Specificity sharpens it. Instead of work on my project, commit to write the first 500 words of Chapter 3. Instead of get healthier, target complete 20 minutes of strength training. Precision magnifies focus exponentially. The third element is time blocking. Your brain operates optimally in uninterrupted stretches. Set a timer, perhaps 25 or 50 minutes, and surrender your complete attention to the task. When it sounds, take a brief rest. This creates rhythm. Deep work, rest. Deep work, rest. Your consciousness adapts to this pattern, entering focus states faster each cycle. But here's what most overlook. Deep focus transcends eliminating external noise. It demands quieting the internal turbulence too. Even in a silent room, your mind wanders. It replays failures. It spirals into future worries. It fantasizes about unrelated things. This is normal. The goal isn't forcing your mind into perfect stillness, but gently guiding it back when it drifts, like training a young dog with patience rather than punishment. A powerful way to cultivate internal focus involves mindfulness practices. Simple breathing exercises or short meditations before work create a centered state that makes concentration much easier. Just minutes of slowing your breath and observing your thoughts can be transformative. Remember this profound truth. Deep focus is increasingly rare, and precisely because it's rare, it's extraordinarily valuable. In a world of scattered attention, the person who can concentrate intensely possesses an immense advantage. They complete projects faster. They create superior work. They perceive connections and opportunities others miss because they're not constantly fragmenting their attention. There's another dimension to this mastery. When you focus deeply, you access what psychologists term flow, a state where time seems to disappear, where you feel completely alive and present. It's one of the most fulfilling experiences available to human consciousness. And it doesn't just increase your productivity, it deepens your happiness. At first, maintaining focus for even 20 minutes might feel impossible. That's acceptable. Like building physical strength, focus grows with consistent practice. Every time you catch yourself drifting and reclaim your attention, you're strengthening your focus muscle. Over weeks and months, you'll discover yourself entering deep work more easily and remaining there longer. Protect your focus like it's your most precious treasure. It's genuinely one of the few things you absolutely control in this chaotic world. While everyone else fragments and reacts, you will be calm, clear, and unstoppable. Here's the ultimate truth. Greatness isn't constructed in chaos. It's constructed in focus. And when you master deep focus, you don't just accomplish more. You transform how you think, create, and exist. Chapter 7. Build mental toughness through self-discipline. Here lies a simple yet unpopular truth that most people resist hearing. You won't always feel inspired to do what matters most.
Some days, exhaustion dominates. Some days, discouragement overwhelms. Some days, every possible excuse materializes perfectly. Yet those who accomplish extraordinary things aren't driven by constant motivation. They're people who act anyway. That's what mental toughness actually is. It's not the absence of weakness, it's the courage to persist despite it. And the foundation beneath mental toughness is always self-discipline. Motivation fluctuates like weather patterns, but discipline is constant. It's the internal voice that declares, "I'll do what's necessary whether I feel like it or not." Think about any domain where you've truly succeeded. Perhaps academics, perhaps your career, perhaps your physical health. What existed beneath that success? Consistency. And beneath consistency? Discipline. Most people wait for inspiration before acting. They believe, once I feel ready, I'll begin. But here's the difficult reality. If you perpetually wait to feel ready, you'll never start. Discipline inverts this pattern. You act first, the feeling follows. It's like entering a gymnasium when you lack motivation, but momentum builds once you begin moving. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Building discipline begins with small daily commitments to yourself. Don't attempt transforming your entire existence overnight. Instead, select 1 or 2 areas where you want to strengthen yourself. Perhaps waking 30 minutes earlier. Perhaps writing a page daily for that project you've postponed. Perhaps eliminating junk food during weekdays. Whatever it is, start small and keep it simple. The critical factor is keeping your word to yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you build trust with yourself. You demonstrate that you're reliable. You prove you can count on you. This trust functions like a muscle. Use it consistently and it strengthens exponentially. Certainly, you'll encounter days when you stumble. Maybe you miss a workout. Maybe you surrender to distraction. That's completely normal. Where most people fail is transforming one slip into an avalanche. They think, I already failed, so what's the point? But discipline isn't about perfection, it's about recovering quickly. When you slip, don't ruminate on it. Extract the lesson, reset, and move forward. One of the most effective methods to strengthen discipline is engineering your environment. If you're pursuing focus, eliminate notifications or relocate your phone. If you're pursuing better nutrition, don't stock junk food in your home. Willpower matters, but your surroundings matter equally. Make the right choice easier and the wrong choice harder. Another transformative tool is accountability. Share your aspirations with someone you trust. When others know what you're pursuing, you're far more likely to follow through. This isn't about needing approval, it's about creating structure that supports your growth. Even writing your goals down and reviewing them daily creates accountability to yourself. Here's where this transcends productivity. Discipline is actually the gateway to freedom. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. But that kind of freedom typically produces chaos, missed opportunities, broken promises, squandered potential. Genuine freedom emerges from self-mastery. With discipline, you're no longer enslaved by impulses, distractions, or moods. You become the architect of your existence, not a passenger. Imagine 2 versions of yourself. In one, you surrender to every urge. You sleep too late, you avoid difficult tasks, you sidestep uncomfortable growth. In the other version, you push through resistance, you honor your commitments, you take consistent steps towards your aspirations. A year from now, these 2 lives look completely different. The distinction is discipline. Mental toughness emerges not in moments of glory, but in quiet, unseen choices you make daily. It's choosing growth when no one's watching. It's doing the difficult thing, not because it's convenient, but because it's right. Start small, stay consistent. When your inner voice protests, not today, respond with action instead. Each time you do, you're not just completing a task, you're constructing a stronger, sharper consciousness, a mind that refuses to quit, a mind that confronts life's challenges with absolute courage. Discipline is the bridge between who you currently are and who you're determined to become. Build that bridge incrementally, and you'll unleash a power that nothing and no one can ever take from you. Chapter 8. Reframe problems into opportunities.
Life will perpetually present challenges. Some are minor frustrations, a delayed flight, a broken appliance. Others are overwhelming, losing employment, facing health threats, enduring profound loss. In these moments, despair feels natural, hopelessness seems rational. But here's the truth that separates genuinely strong minds from reactive, fragile ones. The problem itself doesn't define you. How you perceive it does. Most people view problems as barriers, obstacles that block their progress and steal their joy. They resist them, complain about them, or escape from them. But history's most exceptional individuals share a radically different perspective. They see problems as teachers, as invitations to evolve, as opportunities to become stronger and wiser. The problem isn't the finish line, it's the beginning of something new. This transformation is called reframing. Reframing doesn't erase the problem, it changes the meaning you assign to it. When you shift the meaning, you shift your response. Imagine climbing a mountain and encountering a steep, rocky terrain. You can interpret it as evidence you'll never reach the summit, or you can recognize it as proof you're drawing closer to your goal. The path hasn't transformed, only your perspective has, and that perspective determines whether you continue ascending or retreat. Why does reframing matter? When you label something a dead end, your consciousness shuts down. You obsess over pain. But when you reframe it as a challenge or lesson, your brain activates solution mode. You become more inventive, more resilient, more determined. The same situation that felt crushing suddenly feels like an invitation to transcend. Consider history's greatest breakthroughs. Many emerged from profound obstacles. Thomas Edison didn't create the light bulb because life was easy. He confronted failure thousands of times, but instead of declaring this isn't working, he reframed each failure as movement towards success. That mindset didn't just alter his existence, it illuminated the world. You can replicate this on your own scale. Imagine losing your job. Initially, it feels devastating, but what if you reframed it as a push towards something better, a chance to finally pursue work you're passionate about, an opportunity to develop neglected talents? Perhaps a powerful breakup. Instead of "this proves I'm unlovable," what if you framed it as "this taught me about my worth and my boundaries, preparing me for something healthier ahead"?
Reframing starts with one question. What else could this mean? Your mind loves quick judgments, and typically they're negative. This question interrupts that pattern. It demands you examine hidden benefits, lessons, or possibilities. Simply asking opens your mind to previously invisible potential. Another potent practice is gratitude. It might sound contradictory to feel grateful for a problem, but gratitude reshapes your focus. Instead of obsessing over what's wrong, you start noticing what remains good. Stuck in traffic? Instead of rage, appreciate the gift of extra time for an inspiring audiobook. The circumstance doesn't change, your experience of it does. Of course, reframing doesn't mean denying real suffering or pretending everything is fine. You have the right to feel sadness, anger, disappointment. But once you've felt those emotions, you possess a choice: remain imprisoned in them or transcend them by discovering new perspective. When you practice reframing consistently, something remarkable happens. Problems cease feeling like threats. They start functioning as teachers. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone, molding you into someone wiser, tougher, more capable. The next time life presents a problem, pause before reacting. Ask, how can I perceive this differently? What possibility could be concealed here? That single shift can transmute frustration into focus, despair into determination. Remember, the most resilient minds aren't those with the fewest problems. They're the ones who transmute problems into fuel. Instead of escaping challenges, start reframing them. See them as the training ground for your greatest growth. Because ultimately, every problem is a portal. Some people see a locked door and turn back. Others recognize an opportunity to find the key, to learn, to transcend. Be the person who sees the portal and walks through it. Chapter 9. Master the Power of Recovery.
In a culture that worships hustle and constant motion, it's seductive to believe success demands endless pushing, continuous work, perpetual motion. We absorb slogans like "sleep when you're dead" and "champions don't rest." But here exists a truth that vanishingly few understand. Genuine strength isn't built solely through effort, it's built through recovery. Observe professional athletes. They train with extraordinary intensity, demanding everything from their bodies. But what do they do immediately after? They rest, they stretch, they sleep deeply, they nourish themselves carefully, they grant their muscles time to repair. Without this recovery, their bodies deteriorate and all that training evaporates into nothing. Your mind operates identically. Endless pushing without pausing fragments your thoughts. Your judgment deteriorates. Eventually, burnout consumes you. Many people confuse exhaustion with productivity. They think busyness equals progress, when actually they're just depleting themselves. A fatigued mind cannot think clearly. A burned-out spirit cannot innovate or overcome. That's why recovery isn't a luxury. It's essential. It's the invisible ingredient that allows you to return sharper, stronger, and more powerful than before. Recovery begins with rest, but encompasses far more than sleep. Yes, quality sleep is crucial. It's when your brain resets, consolidates memories, and clears mental debris. But you also require mental rest during waking hours. Too many people spend their downtime enslaved to phones, scrolling mindlessly. That isn't rest. It's just another form of noise. Genuine mental rest emerges from silence, meaningful books, nature, journaling, deep breathing, letting your thoughts settle like sediment. Another vital recovery form is reflection. When you pause to contemplate, you create space to process what's transpiring in your existence. You can ask, what's working? What's failing? What requires transformation? Reflection transforms experiences into wisdom. Without it, you're merely rushing forward without genuinely evolving. Even 5 to 10 minutes of evening reflection creates remarkable clarity over time. Don't diminish joy's role in recovery. Rest isn't only about inactivity, it's also about activities that refill your essence. Laughing with cherished people, pursuing hobbies that ignite you, listening to music that moves you, allowing yourself to play. When you experience genuine joy, your consciousness and body heal profoundly. You become replenished at deeper levels. You can also weave recovery into your workday through micro breaks. Instead of grinding for hours without stopping, take a few minutes every hour to step away, stretch, move around, hydrate, or simply close your eyes and breathe. These tiny pauses refresh your capacity for focus and prevent mental exhaustion from accumulating. The critical element is intentionality about recovery. Don't wait until complete collapse before finally resting. Schedule it into your existence like you'd schedule essential work. Treat it as absolutely non-negotiable. This might mean setting up a consistent bedtime, planning a weekly day of digital silence, or creating evening rituals that signal your consciousness it's time to wind down. Remember, here's something profound to remember. Recovery isn't weakness. It doesn't indicate laziness or lack of commitment. Actually, it takes tremendous strength to step back when the world screams, "Keep going." It requires wisdom to recognize that your best ideas frequently emerge in stillness, not frantic activity. Some of history's greatest innovations occurred during walks, naps, or quiet moments when someone let their mind roam freely. When you practice recovery consistently, something remarkable happens. Problems cease feeling like threats. They start functioning as teachers. Each challenge becomes a stepping stone, molding you into someone wiser, tougher, more capable. The next time life presents a problem, pause before reacting. Ask, how can I perceive this differently? What possibility could be concealed here? That single shift can transmute frustration into focus, despair into determination. Remember, the most resilient minds aren't those with the fewest problems. They're the ones who transmute problems into fuel.
Instead of escaping challenges, start reframing them. See them as the training ground for your greatest growth. Because ultimately, every problem is a portal. Some people see a locked door and turn back. Others recognize an opportunity to find the key, to learn, to transcend. Be the person who sees the portal and walks through it. Chapter 9. Master the Power of Recovery. In a culture that worships hustle and constant motion, it's seductive to believe success demands endless pushing, continuous work, perpetual motion. We absorb slogans like "sleep when you're dead" and "champions don't rest." But here exists a truth that vanishingly few understand. Genuine strength isn't built solely through effort, it's built through recovery. Observe professional athletes. They train with extraordinary intensity, demanding everything from their bodies. But what do they do immediately after? They rest, they stretch, they sleep deeply, they nourish themselves carefully, they grant their muscles time to repair. Without this recovery, their bodies deteriorate and all that training evaporates into nothing. Your mind operates identically. Endless pushing without pausing fragments your thoughts, your judgment deteriorates, eventually burnout consumes you. Many people confuse exhaustion with productivity. They think busyness equals progress, when actually they're just depleting themselves. A fatigued mind cannot think clearly. A burned-out spirit cannot innovate or overcome. That's why recovery isn't a luxury, it's essential. It's the invisible ingredient that allows you to return sharper, stronger, and more powerful than before. Recovery begins with rest, but encompasses far more than sleep. Yes, quality sleep is crucial. It's when your brain resets, consolidates memories, and clears mental debris. But you also require mental rest during waking hours. Too many people spend their downtime enslaved to phones, scrolling mindlessly. That isn't rest. It's just another form of noise. Genuine mental rest emerges from silence, meaningful books, nature, journaling, deep breathing, letting your thoughts settle like sediment. Another vital recovery form is reflection. When you pause to contemplate, you create space to process what's transpiring in your existence. You can ask, what's working? What's failing? What requires transformation? Reflection transforms experiences into wisdom. Without it, you're merely rushing forward without genuinely evolving. Even 5 to 10 minutes of evening reflection creates remarkable clarity over time. Don't diminish joy's role in recovery. Rest isn't only about inactivity, it's also about activities that refill your essence. Laughing with cherished people, pursuing hobbies that ignite you, listening to music that moves you, allowing yourself to play. When you experience genuine joy, your consciousness and body heal profoundly. You become replenished at deeper levels. You can also weave recovery into your workday through micro breaks. Instead of grinding for hours without stopping, take a few.
A mental model is fundamentally a framework for understanding reality. It's like possessing a map in your consciousness. With the right map, you navigate life's complexities with certainty and clarity. Without one, you stumble in darkness, guessing and hoping you're moving in the right direction. Consider how a master chef approaches cooking. A beginner trembles while following recipes, terrified of deviation. But an expert chef requires no recipe. They comprehend flavor's essence, heat's behavior, timing's rhythm. They improvise, adapt, create masterpieces because they've internalized mental models about how cuisine functions. Life operates identically. The more models you possess, the faster and smarter your decisions become. Here's the problem. Most people rely on one or two thinking patterns. They apply the same approach universally. If your only tool is a hammer, everything appears to be a nail. But existence is profoundly complex. Different challenges demand different approaches. The more mental models you cultivate, the more adaptable and effective you become. For instance, imagine workplace conflict. If your only model is win at all costs, you'll approach it aggressively, potentially destroying relationships. But if you also possess the model seek mutual benefit, you might handle it with diplomacy and collaboration. Same situation, radically different outcomes, all because of the frameworks in your consciousness. How do you start constructing these powerful frameworks? First, learn extensively. Read beyond your preferences. Study history, science, psychology, philosophy. Each discipline offers unique lenses for viewing reality. A business leader who understands human psychology makes superior decisions than one focused solely on spreadsheets. A parent studying negotiation techniques becomes more effective at guiding children. Knowledge from one field frequently unlocks insights in completely different areas. Second, reflect deliberately on your experiences. Every triumph and failure contains valuable lessons if you extract them. Ask what succeeded, what failed, why. Over time, these reflections crystallize into personal models, mental shortcuts you apply to future situations. You might recognize, when I rush decisions, I regret them. When I prepare thoroughly, everything flows smoothly. These patterns are mental models operating. Third, question your existing assumptions. Sometimes the models you already possess are broken or harmful. Perhaps you absorbed in childhood that money is corrupting, so you unconsciously sabotage financial opportunities. Perhaps you believe you're simply not creative, so you never attempt innovation. These are mental models too, but dysfunctional ones. By questioning them, you can replace them with more empowering alternatives. Building mental models isn't memorizing theories, it's training yourself to perceive deeper principles beneath surfaces. It's learning to see a tree's roots, not just its leaves. When you comprehend root causes of problems, you can solve them at exponentially higher levels. Here's a compelling example. Imagine two people attempting weight loss. One focuses purely on surface level, eat less, exercise more. The other explores deeper, studying psychology, habit formation, nutrition science. The first might achieve temporary progress before slipping backward. The second understands the entire system, so progress becomes lasting. That's mental models' power. As you develop more models, your thinking becomes increasingly nuanced and sophisticated. You perceive patterns others miss. You predict outcomes more accurately. People will wonder how you make decisions so quickly and wisely. They'll attribute it to intuition, but actually it's simply possessing a rich mental toolkit. To make this practical, begin small. Choose one area you want to improve, perhaps relationships, career, or health. Study its underlying principles, reflect on your experiences, challenge your assumptions. As you do, models emerge that help you navigate that domain with clarity. Then expand into other areas. Gradually, your collection of mental tools expands. Remember, the goal isn't flawlessness or predicting everything. The goal is thinking better. With strong models, you don't get trapped in confusion or indecision. You progress through existence with confidence, knowing you possess frameworks guiding you. The world will perpetually be complex and uncertain. You cannot control every variable, but you absolutely control how you think about it. And when you build powerful mental models, you grant yourself an extraordinary gift, the ability to transform complexity into clarity, chaos into strategy, obstacles into opportunities. Your mind is a workshop. The more tools you stock it with, the more incredible things you can construct. Start today. Learn, reflect, question, evolve. Over time, you'll revolutionize how you perceive the world and how it perceives you.
Pursuing truth also requires asking difficult questions. Questions like, what am I refusing to acknowledge? What excuses am I making? What's the actual reason I haven't achieved this? These questions might feel harsh, but they slice through fog. They illuminate patterns and beliefs that have trapped you. And once you perceive them, you can challenge them. But seeking truth extends beyond internal examination. It affects how you interact with everything. Sometimes the people around you won't appreciate your commitment to truth. They prefer the comfort of old patterns, the shared illusions keeping everyone emotionally safe. When you begin speaking truth, you might encounter resistance, judgment, or anger. That's acceptable. Remember, you're not accountable for others' comfort. You're accountable for living authentically. One of the hardest truths to embrace is that life isn't consistently fair. Terrible things befall decent people. Hard work doesn't always produce immediate rewards. Some individuals will misunderstand you regardless of your efforts. But denying these realities doesn't make them disappear. When you accept them, you become more powerful. You stop wasting energy wishing the world were different and redirect that energy toward navigating it as it genuinely is. Here's what's beautiful about truth. Once you embrace it, you reclaim power. Illusions might feel safe momentarily, but they're fragile. The moment reality intrudes, they shatter. Truth, however, is solid. It provides an unshakable foundation for construction. When you comprehend what's real, you make decisions with clarity and certainty. You take responsibility for your actions instead of externalizing blame. This doesn't mean truth always feels pleasant. Some truths will hurt, but pain frequently signals growth. Like muscle soreness after a workout, truth's discomfort indicates you're evolving. Over time, you'll come to treasure that sting because it signals advancement. From this moment forward, commit to becoming a truth seeker. Be willing to question your narratives, challenge your beliefs, and confront realities you've been avoiding. When you catch yourself reaching for comfort, pause and ask, am I choosing ease over growth right now? The stronger, smarter mind doesn't hide from reality, it embraces it. It perceives clearly, acts boldly, and constructs a life on truth's unshakable foundation. Comfort evaporates, illusions crumble, but truth endures. And when you build your existence on it, no storm can topple you. Chapter 12. Surround yourself with minds that challenge you. Regardless of your strength or independence, you cannot achieve your fullest potential in isolation. Your people inhabiting your world profoundly shape your thinking, your emotions, and ultimately the life you construct. Your environment is the soil in which your consciousness grows. Rich, nourishing soil produces strong, thriving plants. Depleted, toxic soil produces weak, struggling ones. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people underestimate. Others' influence on you is far more powerful than you realize. You can possess the greatest intentions, the most formidable willpower, the clearest vision, but if you're constantly surrounded by negativity, gossip, or limited thinking, it will erode you. It happens gradually, almost invisibly. Their doubts become your doubts. Their fears migrate into your consciousness. Their limitations become your ceiling. Before you recognize it, you've unconsciously lowered your standards to match the people surrounding you. That's why you must choose your circle with deliberate intention. If you want a stronger, smarter mind, spend time with people who challenge you. Individuals who expand your thinking, demand your best, reveal possibilities you couldn't see independently. These people aren't necessarily the loudest or most visible. Frequently, they're the quietest ones, the genuine thinkers, the doers, those who lead through example rather than performance. Here's the difficult part. Sometimes this requires creating distance from people you've known forever. This doesn't mean ceasing to care or excising them completely. It means recognizing that not everyone belongs in your innermost circle. There exist 3 categories of people in your existence: those who elevate you, those who keep you stagnant, those who actively pull you backward. Your task is identifying which category each person occupies, then spending most of your time with the first group. Think of mountain climbing. Climbers stronger, faster, and more experienced than you will naturally pull you upward. You'll push yourself harder just to maintain pace. But climbers who complain, who doubt, who surrender easily will decelerate you. In certain situations, they'll actually pull you backward. Surrounding yourself with challenging minds doesn't require everyone thinking identically to you. Actually, diverse perspectives are absolutely essential. You need people who perceive differently, who interrogate your assumptions, who fearlessly tell you when you're mistaken. This friction can feel uncomfortable initially, but it sharpens you like a blade honed against stone. Iron sharpens iron. One way to discover these people is going where growth happens. Join groups, organizations, or communities where people are actively bettering themselves. Enroll in classes, attend conferences, read widely. Connect with others on similar journeys. If you can't find them locally, search online. Today's world offers incredible thinkers and mentors instantly through podcasts, videos, audiobooks, and digital communities. But here's another essential piece. Become the kind of person others desire to be around. It's insufficient to merely seek extraordinary minds. You must also develop your own. Contribute value to your relationships. Be someone who inspires, challenges, and uplifts others. When you focus on developing yourself, you naturally attract people doing the same. Here's a transformative exercise. List the 5 people you spend the most time with. Then honestly ask, are these people elevating me, keeping me stagnant, or actively pulling me backward? Your answer reveals where your life is headed. If most are elevating you, you're positioned well. If not, transformation is necessary. Even if changing these relationships feels difficult, remember, you don't need completely cutting ties with negative or limited-minded people. Often they're family, colleagues, or lifelong friends. But you can restrict their influence by establishing boundaries and investing more energy in relationships that facilitate your growth. Fiercely protect your inner circle. As you elevate your circle, you'll notice extraordinary shifts. Conversations become richer, ideas flow freely, your aspirations expand because you glimpse possibilities through others' examples. And when adversity arrives, as it inevitably will, you'll have an ecosystem of powerful, resilient minds supporting you. The intelligent, powerful mind comprehends this essential truth. You can only ascend as high as the people surrounding you, so choose with extreme care.
Surround yourself with those who challenge you, who believe in your capability, who inspire you to be better today than yesterday. Because ultimately, your circle isn't simply reflecting who you currently are, it's previewing who you're becoming. Chapter 13. Become the master of your inner dialogue. Inside your consciousness exists a voice that perpetually articulates. You recognize it, that endless current of thoughts, questions, judgments, and narratives flowing continuously. Sometimes it's uplifting, strengthening you when you need it most. Other times it's devastatingly critical, dismantling you with doubt and fear. This inner dialogue shapes absolutely everything about your existence, your confidence, your choices, your relationships, your future. Here's the fundamental truth. You're perpetually in dialogue with yourself, whether consciously or not. That conversation is extraordinarily powerful. The words you speak internally determine the limits you accept or the possibilities you pursue. If your inner voice is drenched in negativity, I cannot do this, I always fail, I'm fundamentally unworthy, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your mind believes what you repeatedly tell it. These messages gradually crystallize into convictions that quietly dictate your life's direction. But here's the empowering reality. You're not imprisoned by that voice. You can train it. You can become its master rather than its victim. It starts with consciousness. Most people are so accustomed to their mental chatter that they never truly notice it. But if you pause and genuinely listen, you'll catch the specific words and patterns dominating your mind. Listen carefully. Are they constructing you or deconstructing you?
Are they propelling you forward or anchoring you backward? Once you recognize destructive patterns, the next step is interrogation. Just because a thought appears in your consciousness doesn't mean it's factual. Thoughts are not truths, they're possibilities. When your inner voice declares you'll never succeed, pause and question, is this absolutely true? What evidence supports it? What contradicts it? Frequently, you'll recognize the voice is merely fear performing theater, and fear is a persistent deceiver. After you've challenged those old, corrosive messages, replace them with intentionally empowering ones. This isn't about delusional positivity or pretending existence is flawless. It's about choosing language reflecting who you're determined to become. Rather than, "I'm terrible at this," say, "I'm learning and improving daily." Rather than, "I'll never achieve this goal," declare, "I'm taking consistent steps forward and progress is happening." These shifts might appear subtle, but over time they reprogram your consciousness. Visualize your mind as a garden. Negative thoughts are invasive weeds. Without removal, they'll overrun everything, suffocating growth. Positive, empowering thoughts are valuable seeds. When you plant them and nurture them daily, they flourish into confidence, resilience, and strength. But here's what matters most. You must tend to your mental garden every single day. Consistency determines everything. Another potent technique for controlling your inner dialogue is visualization. Dedicate a few minutes daily to imagining the person you're determined to become. Envision yourself managing obstacles with absolute confidence, communicating with clarity, existing with purpose. Your consciousness doesn't completely distinguish between imagination and reality. These mental rehearsals genuinely prepare you to act differently when reality arrives. Be conscious of your language even in casual moments. Words like always, never, and can't are dangerous. They imprison you in fixed identities. When you catch yourself thinking, "I always mess up," pause and reframe it. "I made a mistake this time, but I'm capable of learning and doing better." Immerse yourself in external voices reinforcing the inner dialogue you're constructing. Absorb inspiring books, meaningful podcasts, mentors who speak possibility. Their words will resonate in your consciousness when you most need them. Here's something most never comprehend. Your inner dialogue is your most important relationship. You cannot escape it. It accompanies you everywhere. If you don't master it, it will master you. But when you claim control, you unlock profound, unshakable power. So beginning today, pay attention to that inner voice. Observe it, challenge it, replace it with language reflecting your highest self. Speak to yourself with the identical respect and belief you'd offer someone you deeply love. Because when you become the master of your inner dialogue, you transcend just your thoughts. You transform your entire reality. You cease existing as a prisoner of fear and doubt. You begin existing as the architect of your future. A stronger, smarter mind emerges from a stronger, smarter conversation, the one you're having with yourself every single day. Conclusion. Your consciousness is the architecture upon which absolutely everything rests. Everything you accomplish, everything you generate, everything you ultimately become. It is your most valuable possession, but exclusively if you claim responsibility for sculpting and strengthening it. Throughout this journey, we've illuminated 13 transformative principles that when genuinely applied can completely revolutionize your thinking, your actions, and ultimately your existence. These aren't superficial hacks or trendy ideas that fade. They're timeless truths, the kind of wisdom that will resonate decades from now. We began by reclaiming control over your mind's programming. You learned, if you don't guard your consciousness, the world will colonize it for you. We progressed to deliberately training your thoughts like an athlete trains their body, practicing resilience and strength through intentional effort.
We explored transforming chaos into order, purifying your mental diet, and choosing reason over transient emotion. We discussed the extraordinary power of concentrated focus in a fragmentary world, and the unshakable discipline essential to continuing when motivation evaporates. You discovered how to alchemize obstacles into catalysts, how to harness recovery's transformative power, and how to construct mental frameworks that accelerate decision-making. We dove into the bravery required to pursue truth instead of comfort, the irreplaceable value of challenging relationships, and finally, the life-altering ability of governing your inner dialogue. These principles are profoundly interconnected. Applying one strengthens all the others. Together, they construct a complete architecture for building a stronger, smarter mind. A mind capable of confronting any obstacle, recognizing every opportunity, and constructing a deeply meaningful existence. But here's what matters most. Absorption isn't insufficient. Knowledge without action creates nothing. Genuine transformation emerges when you live these principles daily, moment by moment, breath by breath. Begin modestly. Choose one principle that resonates most deeply and commence applying it today. As you practice, you'll recognize subtle changes, more clarity, more confidence, more command over your thoughts and emotions. Over time, these small changes compound into something extraordinary. Life will perpetually challenge you. Chaos will persist. Distractions will tempt you. Setbacks will arrive. But with these hidden rules, you won't merely survive these trials. You'll transcend them. You'll become the kind of person others look to for strength, guidance, and inspiration. Remember, your consciousness is the single thing you carry everywhere. You can lose material possessions, jobs, relationships, but no one can ever steal a disciplined, powerful mind. Protect it fiercely. Train it deliberately. Challenge it constantly. Now the path continues with you. Don't wait for perfect timing or the ideal plan. Begin today. Live these principles, and as you do, you'll uncover the profound truth. A stronger, smarter mind doesn't merely change how you think. It transforms who you are and what you believe is possible. This is your moment. This is your opportunity. Step forward with absolute conviction and construct the mind and the life you were always destined to have. The choice is entirely yours.